call the meeting to order at 4:35. And formality, we'll please introduce ourselves. Tom, we'll start with you.
Tom Schneider, Interim Executive Director.
Jenna LaPietra, member.
James Metcalf, Board Member.
Pat McMahon, Board Employee.
Kitty Macy, Board Member.
Diane Zeller, board member.
Connie Casamento, Board.
Debbie Godden, Port Employee.
Kim Natoli, Port Employee.
Thank you. All right, and to our agenda, do I have a motion to approve the minutes of the September 22 meeting?
Motion.
Second. Diane, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Recused? Passed. And we need to go to executive session to discuss contract material. So do we have a motion to enter executive session?
I make a motion that we enter executive session.
Kit?
Second.
Jamie? At 4:36. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Recused? Passed. We are now in executive session. Next item on the agenda would be the administrative operational report.
Excuse me,
Tom,
did we approve the minutes?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
okay, I thought so, I forgot to write that down, thank you.
You're welcome.
And just, picking up here and quickly, we know that there are a couple of things that have impacted aluminum, both on, there's two kind of separate things. One is, I like to use the term ingot, even though they seem, Novelis reserves ingot for the large slabs, but we call the large slabs, and the small ingots, those small ingots are prime aluminum or primary sourced aluminum. They are smelted from the smelting plant using bauxite. There are no smelting facilities left in the United States. The majority of what we get is from Canada, including from the former Aluminum Company of America. That they're smelted and cast there. There are both, in Canada and domestically, recycling of casting plants, and those produce these larger slab ingots. So during the first quarter of this calendar year, we had a lot of this prime aluminum on the ground while executing a contract with Novelis to bring in the large slabs via train from Guthrie, Kentucky, a plant that they own and operate. And so that is, they're creating a vertically integrated supply chain and a domestically sourced product. However, the prime is critical to the mix here in order to create the sheets outcome that they're looking for. As you come in, you see that a lot of prime, we haven't been receiving that much prime. We had a couple of shipments, and both of them were pretty small, in the tune of 2,000 to 4,000 ingots, when a normal shipment might be double that. And I would assign a lot of that to tariffs. We saw the consumption of a lot of that prime aluminum really starting in about June, when I think the supply was starting to shrink. And the aluminum that we have on the ground is our customers who are commodity brokers, who either are selling it on a forward contract or it's here on speculation. And they, before the incident at the local plant, they were already transferring it internally between the brokers, shipping it out to other locations, what we call over the road, because it's my opinion that the domestic supply was drying up, and there wasn't as much foreign supply coming in. Remember that in March, by executive order, the tariff on aluminum and steel is separate from all the other tariffing that's been going on, and that's set at 50%. We'll eventually feel that in pricing across the country, because you're not going to replace those Canadian-sourced smelting plants. Even at these numbers, no one's indicated that they're going to build any smelting plants. We're going to smelt iron or either into steel. So ultimately, that pricing has to move through, but we haven't seen it yet in terms of as much coming in as has been going out. So our supply of prime has been shrinking because there's more being shipped out and consumed than is coming in. Meanwhile, the amount of recycled stuff is expanding. It's expanding both because we continue to get not the steady supply that the expectations with Guthrie were, where on every push we have maybe 9 cars with 5 ingots apiece, and then we get that twice a week, and then they be shipped out every day by truck. But that's happening. However, in 2 different phases, first from the transformer incident and then from this more significant incident, we've received a lot of diversion of these large ingots from other suppliers that would otherwise be shipping directly to the local plant. So we have a lot on site. You've been asked how much we can handle. And there's a certain point in time where this given site is a great laydown area for those large ingots. And once they're not unloading rock and have all that equipment there, we'd be able to get our big lifts in when the rail comes in and get it off and stack it there. I'm uncomfortable with not having as much security there and having, nobody's going to do anything to these large ingots with spray paint. When these guys were moving those large stones, they encountered little makeshift camp under the rocks. They're very unstable. They got them very nervous.
Whoa.
The aluminum ingots are very stable, and
But
they're
the rocks
17 metric tons. The rocks are not. They're stacked for stacking purposes, not stacked as construction. So whoever
So
was living,
how long ago was that?
that was months. And that's another thing about that area that we talked about. We'll talk about later in the surveillance tower. That there are some homeless encampments that come up there, and we have people under the property from time to time. And that's can tell you a few stories. But anyhow, that's kind of what's been going on with aluminum. So we're still busy with it. Having vessels come in, making ports of call, is a higher margin business for us than the rail and the trucking. However, the financials are at least reflecting the activity that we've been seeing throughout the summer and into September. What happens here going forward, we just don't know. We're already kind of seeing a little bit of a slowdown. A lot of the prime that's on site has gone out. It continues to go out. The slabs keep coming in, but at some point that prime has to be resupplied. But it's not going to happen until the plant fires back up again, because nobody's going to ship the prime here, buy it at 50% to make it domestic, and then not have a buyer on the other side. On agriculture, we are in now soybean season. We've been receiving trucks from farmers. These farmers have sale contracts with our customer who leases the silo. They come in and they dumped into the silo where we hold it. If you drove in, you'd see on what's that F-track that there are 5 empty rail cars sitting there. You wouldn't know that because they're not open. But those are all owned by our customer who wants them, you know, who's just setting them, staging them to fill with grain. They actually wanted to stage 100 here. But handle that.
Wow.
It's easier to move a unit train, maybe more cost effective. But,
So the soybeans are moving.
soybeans are, farmers are, how much do you, how many trucks do you think we've gotten through?
Maybe 50 or 60 trucks so far.
What's a normal season, Pat?
When it's hot and heavy, we could have 100 trucks, 50 trucks a day almost.
Oh, okay.
Right now, they're gearing up, but it's just
Yep.
the weather.
Yep. But, you know, there doesn't seem to be a disruption in the soybean harvest as there was in the corn.
Correct.
And part of the corn disruption is how many farmers have converted to soybean. And it's not like, you know, you're doing field nutrients by switching from one crop to the other. When they switched, it was a permanent switch of the fields. Potash, you know, is other, you know, that's picked up by farmers, by trucks, as a fertilizer, and we probably will have a ship coming in fairly soon that can fill one of the domes.
From what Steve has told me is probably looking at the end of November, they're gonna fill both domes up
Yeah.
before everything closes down in December.
Okay.
We're trying to empty Dome 3 out now, so we can get going.
Pretty-
back up.
It's only about a quarter full.
Yeah.
So that's what's going on with our 3 commodities. We have fielded a number of inquiries and have responded to those inquiries on other products that could potentially go in Dome 4, but we're storing the boats in Dome 4, and that's the canvas non-dome.
Is that the highest and best use of that facility?
No, the highest and best use of it, you know, if you look at it, that opening on top is for this large boom that fills these 2 green domes by bringing the boom over and opening up the top of the dome and pouring it out. It's a very efficient way of delivering it, much less handling. We don't know if that boom will reach that, you know, it was engineered to, but we'll see. We're going to test it. But no, the boat storage is not the highest and best use, at least at the single level that we're using it now. We've had inquiries on that there's a shortage of salt because of the, you know, the easy winters that we had prior to last year, and then there was a lot of consumption of salt, and everyone was looking for it. A lot of people looking at you know, bringing salt in, and I think the best place for salt and the most out of the way is both in that dome and on the south side of that dome, where we already have some big, what do you call them?
We call them spaceships. They're those big concrete walls.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Like tarp the top of it for wind?
yeah, you can tarp it,
yeah.
or, you know, not, but the person who owns it is responsible for the tarping. You know, when it was
Oh,
out,
sure, because they're gonna lose.
when it was
the
out there, you probably saw it 2 years ago, it was flapping all over the place, it always has to be redone, very hard to work with. I think over there, be more or less emotional. However, we don't have any contracts yet. The marinas are closing down. On the tenant side, we're still, you know, working through a lease with GSA for USGS over Fish and Wildlife. The break wall repair will be winding down at the end of October. We have the PIDP that we're working through. The other federal grant that we have, I meant to mention before, is this EDA grant that goes along with this state passenger freight and rail assistance program that combines a couple of rail spurs up in Fitzgibbons and a conveyor system for grain to load onto ship. I'll leave the electric rail car mover for Pat, because he actually paid a visit and drove around in one. Debbie's been working hard to close out the FEMA project. As the state expressed concern, the funds were provided from FEMA to the New York State Homeland Security and Emergency Services Agency, and there were concerns that that could be clawed back and wanted to close out those projects. Still have that security grant outstanding. You've seen in the paper that American Cruise Lines they actually went direct to the city, and we're looking at Hill Pier. Victory Cruise Lines out of Canada came in and visited us, and we spent about 6 hours with the toured museums and lighthouses and had a nice lunch. And, she was impressed by what she saw, and it certainly wouldn't be a 2026 thing. But it seems as though on a Canadian flag vessel, they have to have, when they're traveling a port of call, and they don't have many on Lake Ontario, and there's an emergency when they want to have an emergency.
So there's no revenue to us out of that scenario? Clear.
I'm not sure what's going to happen with the other one. I don't.
Yeah, I think it's a great project.
Mhm. I think it's good for the city.
Sure, absolutely.
They've asked me to find out some information on docking to morphage, and I'm asking another report. That's all I have to say unless anyone has. Oh, there's also this attached. I'm not sure. The activity report does a very nice job, but it really isn't informative to give monthly numbers without some context or comparing it to other numbers. I did this. I should have done it sooner. I did this real quick, and the results seemed weird to me. And I need to check it against revenue, but this would be taking each of those months and accumulating them into a year, and then comparing that fiscal year to date, from April through September 2024, this portion of the fiscal year, to 24 and 25 volumes. I think the rock and the number of rail cars and the weight of the rock is not. Which we don't get paid. The reason why you measure and why ports report out on, their volumes in tonnage and have their, pay set of rewards based upon increases in tonnage is because that's how you're billing. That's where your revenue is coming from. On the stone, that's not where our revenue is coming from. We're leasing land, and then there's, some incremental labor and equipment utilization. So I think that messes these numbers up a little bit, although when I quickly eliminated the rocks, it still didn't make sense. Excuse me for saying April in there, I didn't change it to September. But if that were the case, we should be seeing revenue at those various levels, so I have to do more work. I just want to turn that into something a little bit more relevant to review and why it impacts the financials. And for copies. I wonder what I'm talking about. That's.
All right, are we ready for Pat?
Oh, I've got the easy part. Tom already covered 2 out of my 4 things, so I'm happy. The still watch, I've been dealing with Marad. They're trying to help us find a way to remove the boat, but it's just a slow process. So at this time, we're still talking to them and trying to figure out what to do with the big monster.
we had a little, not meeting, but just a small gathering after we've done some research on ownership in vessels and how that's transferred. And we're working through a plan to see if we can shift. We don't have ownership, but if somebody can,
Nor do we ever want to.
do as we want. So, if somebody's looking at it, trying to get it started, we might take ownership, but I don't know if that's really going to work. And if there is a plan B. It can't stay there. I don't think. From a navigational hazard, an environmental hazard, and if it sinks, you have to refloat it.
Jesus.
If it was traveling and got caught in the storm in the lake and went down, it would be a diving site. If it goes
Yeah,
down,
well,
if it goes
yeah.
down in a port like it did in Buffalo, it has to be raised.
So what was the plan B? Take it out,
Uh,
let it sink in the middle of the
I'd
lake?
rather talk about that in the executive session.
And just the last piece is, I had the opportunity to go to Baltimore to look at the,
Why don't you talk about the opportunity from who,
from Alta,
on who's dying,
Alta's.
budget
So-
many meals.
Yeah, it didn't cost the port a penny.
Yay.
The Alta company that we're getting the trackmobile from paid for everything for me to go down there and look at this machine, to put me in the seat so that I can figure out.
Of one like it.
Yeah.
One like the one I haven't built.
Ours is 3 foot longer than what theirs is, and ours, compared to our trackmobile that we have now, that weighs 36,000 pounds, the machine we're gonna be getting weighs 81,000 pounds. So we can move a lot more rail cars than what we can currently.
This is electric rail car that was, purchased 100% with passenger freight and rail assistance program grant.
We've had to do some upgrades on the power here, we're putting some new plugs in, but we'll get that done.
And it'll be a good test to see how that type of electric vehicle performs in very harsh conditions at the end of the pier.
They figured we should see it in February, middle of January.
Right.
How does it get here?
They'll be trucking it in.
Well, no, it's coming from, you went to the Port
Oh.
of Baltimore.
Right, it'll go through, come in through the Port of Baltimore, then it will be offloaded from the ship, transported to Syracuse, and then retrofit with everything that we need on it, and then it will be tractor trailered here.
Right.
Couldn't just put it on the rail and do it.
I know. Drop down road.
Okay,
That's it for me. Thanks for listening.
thank you.
That's where you're ready.
Oh, and so tell them that somebody had a tour here too.
Chairman's report, oh, I'm sorry,
My
financial
favorite thing.
reports, number 4. Administrative financial reports.
Yeah, so, they're in the package. Debbie and I are here to answer any questions. The month, again, I draw people individual attention to, looking, focusing on a couple of areas. Focus on cash, but don't do it without looking at receivables and payables and the variance in receivables and payables, because you will find that the depletion of cash at this end period, because it's just a day snapshot, is a function of increased receivables, and that was mostly related to creating a new invoicing system and payment system with the local clients that we're doing more business with, and pay down of payables. So, when you get to the income statement, I look at net operating income before, net ordinary income before looking at anything else, and at least we're positive there for the month of September, which reduces our negative variance to the prior year and budget. year revenue is some, 150,000 above the, I'm sorry, 250,000 above the prior period. 300,000.
The monthly payment on a credit card, I looked at it earlier, I can't find it right now,
By the
$4,500.
impress report?
Do we, yeah, in the impress report, are there regular monthly payments going on there, is that what?
The balance is always kept to zero, so the payment on the credit card would just be whatever was charged to it in that period.
I mean, what's it used,
45 sounds
what's it
a
generally
lot.
used for? Is it used for regular payments?
Purchases, travel,
So, okay,
um,
so
paying for
incidentals.
lunch when the cruise.
Yeah, no, understood. Incidentals
Yeah.
versus, because sometimes you use
Yeah.
credit card to pay bills because you get a deal.
Sure,
You get money back on a credit card.
You end up getting some.
I just saw it and I was like, I wonder what the rule is.
But no, our bills are paid the very old-fashioned way,
Yeah,
Yes.
gotcha. Well, yeah.
with many signatures required. What number did you say? It sounded like you said 45.
4,400,
Very
something like
high
that?
number.
4,100, yeah, we did have a bill.
Was that right?
Yeah, we
I
did.
just can't find it.
I don't know, that one may have been when there was travel on it, yes.
But it seemed-
It was high enough where that's why I was thinking, oh, maybe there's some monthly bills that are just being paid directly.
And we don't pay monthly bills with the credit card,
Gotcha.
but we do have purchases that go through there. Sometimes, usually more in the springtime, we have some annual renewals that come through that are paid with a credit card only, things having to do with our software.
Gotcha. Oh, yeah, that makes sense, sure. And that was the type of bill I was thinking about.
The current charges.
Mhm.
It would be impossible for us to set up ACH type transactions because of
Right, that's what I
the state checking.
Oh,
and
yeah, that
checking
makes sense.
and trust funds. We don't control our checking account. So setting up ACH payments is everything.
It's in the impress bills.
Does that make sense, Debbie? We don't have any ACH running through checking account? So, absent questions there. Give a full report next month.
All right, is there a motion to, which would be motion 10/20/2502/02, to accept the primary and subsidiary financial reports?
So moved. Second.
Kit? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Recused? Passed. 4-0. 5. Chairman's report, there is none. Chairman's update. Committee reports, there are none because.
We barely have a quorum for a board meeting, let alone breaking it out into committees.
Yeah. We're
So
working on it.
everything comes to the board at this point because committees are usually for larger boards. Maybe do more detailed work.
All right, on to old business. There is none, any old business that wants to be brought up. New business. We've been to executive session.
Yeah, and the issue that's on there, I don't have the research material that I thought I would have, which is the pension plan itself.
Do you want me to, no, I meant to bring the packet that I got from September.
Yeah. Well, you attended the September
Oh,
meeting?
they mailed it to me.
Yeah. So, why don't we move into executive session just for a quick conversation on it?
So moved.
Second. At 5:45, is that right?
Always take vote.
A second,
I said, yeah.
Kitty did.
I did, I seconded.
Kid did, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We're back in executive session. Favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Views? passed. And we're back in regular session. And the next thing is to adjourn. Diane?
Second.
This was a really efficient meeting, thank you.
6 PM.